Hi, Martin here. Today I'm going to show you how to change out your fuel injectors on your 99 through around 07, 08 Dodge, Jeep, Chrysler, and Mitsubishi, the 4.7, and this will also help you on the 3.7 liter motors as well. Now, your typical factory OEM injector looks like that one right there. And I've changed these out once before and installed these Bosch. These are the 849s, and that's what's currently in here right now. Now the 849s have a higher ohm reading, and I think that's kind of messing with the computer a little bit, even though I'm getting really good gas mileage with these at about 21.2 to 21.6 miles per gallon. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put in these Densos. These are very common to the, you'll find these in GM, Saturns, the Chevrolet Malibus and HHRs, the Pontiac Solstice. You'll find them in the 2.2 and 2.4 Ecotech motors. These are very good injector. They come with a 12-hole nozzles, so they're going to shoot out a very fine mist. And their ohm reading is almost identical to the factory injector. Alright, so I'll be able to show you if you just wanted to change out and put brand new factory ones in, this would be great. And then if you wanted to upgrade to the Densos, either way. Alright? Well, let's get started. Alright, first you need to uninstall your air silencer box and the intake tube that's running across here, if you have that. So there'll be a couple, it's either 8mm or 10mm, depending on the bolts on the side right here to loosen the box up, and there's also the one hose clamp on the back side. Okay, before we get too far, we're going to want to release the pressure in the fuel system. Okay, you come here to your fuse block, and right in here it tells you what all these relays are. This one right here indicates that this one is for the fuel pump, which would be this one right here. Okay, these can be a little difficult to just grab and pull out. Sometimes they come out. You should grab like a pair of needle nose. There we go. Pull that out. Now, start your engine. Okay, just make sure you get all the pressure released, because even though the engine dies after running it for a while, that's because it operates. It takes so many pounds of pressure to operate. Well, that doesn't mean that there isn't any more pressure in there. Okay, I like to place a rag in here. You got the Schrader cap right there. Remove the cap. Now, I take a small blade screwdriver. I'm going to very gently press on this Schrader valve, right? Look at that. Look at all that pressure that's still in there. And all you do is just simply push down on the tab here on the top and pull those off. You're also going to want to disconnect your idle air control valve and your throttle position sensor and your air intake temperature sensor. Also remove your brake booster hose. And there's also a sensor right here. Disconnect that as well. And it'd be helpful to remove this nut right here to get this battery cable out of the way. And that is either an 18 or 11/16. Alright, this breather hose I got right here, it's fastened so well on here that what I'm going to do is just remove this nut that's holding the dipstick tube on, and hopefully I can pull this hose up and out of the way. A lot of times these hoses down here are very brittle and break. I did replace this one, and with the hose that I did use, it really just grabbed on there really well, and I just fear I can't get it off without breaking it. What I'm going to do is just tie this hose up and out of the way. There we go. Alright, next we got this clip right here. I'm going to disconnect that from the fuel line. There we go. Alright, next we want to go ahead and remove every coil. And that takes a 10mm socket. Careful not to drop those nuts down in here because they can get lost. And if you haven't changed out your spark plugs, then this may be a good time to do it, because you are so close to having it. I mean, you got all the coils removed. This would be just an absolute great time to do that. And I do have a video on that as well. We need to disconnect all the fuel injectors. And by doing that, there's a tab on the side right here. Press that and pull. Now once you get all your coils removed on both sides, there's a 8mm bolt, 2 of them on each side, that hold the fuel rail in. Go ahead and remove those. And be careful not to drop the hardware, these bolts. down into these cavities, because they can slide up underneath the intake and you won't be able to get them back out very easily. Now before we pull this fuel rail off of here, take some compressed air and shoot it around those injectors, and we don't want to get any dirt down into the cylinders. Alright, now that I've got everything out of the way, ready just to lift the rail up. You may have to wiggle it a little bit. Alright, it is possible to go ahead and remove the injectors with the rail still hooked up to the fuel line. What I'm going to do is go ahead and show you how to remove this connector here, so you could take it out of here and put the fuel injectors in. First, I got like this safety lock thing on here. Move that over, slide that up like so. Then you need a set of these. These work real well. They're made for like fuel lines, transmission lines, all kinds of lines that got this quick connect fastener. So you get the appropriate one. You're going to slide it on there like so. And then you push it up in there. This is probably why I didn't take it off the first couple times I changed injectors. That's coming. There we go. Now remember, this whole fuel rail is full of fuel, so be careful as you take it out. Alright, now with the fuel rail removed, remember this is full of fuel. I got a little container here. We're just gonna now what there's a vacuum lock in here. As soon as I release one of the, there, it's starting to go now. There we go. But if I were to pull one of the injectors out, this would really run. Let's see if I can do that. Wait for it. There we go. Alright, now to remove the injector itself, you got these clips on here. Right there. So what you do, you take a small screwdriver, you're going to get in there, and pry that clip out of there. Just like that. Now at this point, you could pull the injector on out. And sometimes they come out kind of hard. That one came out nice. Generally, you just, once you got the clip removed, got to do a little like that. Do a little prying. And you also want to make sure the O-ring came out with it. A lot of times the O-ring will come off, stay in here. Alright, now once we get all the injectors removed, I got my new ones here. These are the Densos. I like to apply just a little bit of oil. Just a drop. As a lubricant to go in. This can make it a lot easier to install them. And there we go. Just like that. Then you return the clip. There we go. Like that. I rebuilt these injectors a while back, just now getting around to getting them in here. I installed new filter baskets, and actually I reused the O-rings. I inspected them. All of them were really good shape. The pintle caps were real good shape. You can get a shot of this. This is a 12-hole injector. Alright, now if we were just replacing with stock injectors, what I just showed you, that would work great. We'd put the clips back on, put this rail back in, and install everything and we'd be done. Well, since I'm putting the Denso injectors in, and there's a little difference between the factory one and a Denso that causes a small problem. Because of the clips, they hold the injector in this position right here. They don't allow it to spin. And because the injector is slightly different, it comes so close, right in here, touching that valve cover when you reinstall this. And I've had it where it almost rests on, especially with the connector on. Once you put the connector on some of them it's super close. So what you end up having to do is spin the connector slightly. You need to spin the injector. Well, I don't know if you just saw that, but it wants to pop that clip off of there. Because that clip is designed to fit in this square notch back here. You see how that's squared off back there? Well, because of those little tabs on there, that's what's keeping that injector from rotating with the clip on. So what I'm going to show you is we're going to grind away these corners. And then that way the clip will still go on, but it'll allow you to spin the injector in a position where the connector will fit properly. And you can get to it, you know, and remove the connector, and there's no issues. All right. All right, what I got is a Dremel tool. I got a stone on it. And I'm doing this outside just in case, you know, we got some fuel vapors still in here, and I sure don't want to cause a fire. But I do want to do it with the injectors in place because I don't want to get any metal shavings down inside these down inside the rail. Alright, once you got all those ground off, now if you choose to do this mod, do it before you put the new injectors in. You know, there's no sense contaminating your new injectors. What I did afterwards is I took you know, some gum out and sprayed the whole thing down, got rid of any shavings whatsoever. Okay, now you can install the clips just like you would have in the original application, and you'll be able to turn that connector wherever you need be. And it just sets in there. Now all you got to do is grab your bolts and return those. So just reinstall these bolts here. And that's what draws it down into place. Alright, as soon as we get that injector rail all bolted back into place, return everything else that we unbolted, and we're going to get real close to firing this thing back up again. Alright, something I wanted to show you here. With these aftermarket injectors, or I should say with these Densos, or if you put a Bosch type injector in it, this connector sits lower than the factory injector did. So because of that, you see how much closer it is to the valve cover, and by the time you put the connector on there, it can actually even be touching the valve cover itself. So by removing those little pieces of metal like I did on the back, now I can sit there and rotate that injector to over here and put that connector on, and it has a lot more clearance. Or maybe you want to spin it back this way. So like on this one here, I'm going to spin it over here like so when I put that connector on. Now to reinstall the fuel line, this is just push on, and it should just click right on. There, you heard the snap, the click. Then you put this piece on here, push that back down like so. So here, get a shot of this, I'll show you. And it provides more clearance for that connector. As you put your coils back in on your rear two cylinders, remember that ground wire right there to return that. And there's also a ground wire if you remove this battery cable right here. You got a ground cable here. Don't forget to put that one back on as well. Alright, with everything back together, I'm going to fire this thing up and check for leaks. On the initial start, turn the ignition switch to on, then turn it off, and then back on again. And what that's doing is letting the fuel pump fill up the fuel rail. Otherwise it might start a little hard on the very first time around because the fuel rail is completely empty. Okay? Alright, now one of the last things we want to do, because we put new injectors in, we want it, the ECM or PCM, whatever you want to call it, do a remap. Because now it's got something new in there, so we want it to learn the new injectors. And this is something you'd want to do if you did a major mod to your engine. Maybe you added a cold air intake, or you put new cams in, or an exhaust system. You want the ECM to learn the new mod that you put in there. Okay? And what it says is to disconnect the positive. Now, I find that a little unusual. Usually you want to disconnect the negative first, but we're going to do as the directions tell you. Alright, now it wants you to touch chassis ground for 30 seconds. I got the AC line here. It's about the closest thing I can reach. And that is discharging the capacitors inside the ECM. First, turn your ignition to the on position, but do not start. Then, turn your headlights to the on position. Then, turn your headlights to off. Then, turn your ignition switch to the off position. Alright, that's it. Now you've reset the ECM. It's gone into what's called a fast track learn mode. Now it's going to take about 50 cold starts to for the ECM to learn everything all over again. Alright, well, that sounded really good. I can't wait to take it out for a drive and see how well it does. Now, I would allow yourself like 3 hours to do the installation, you know, because I mean I can hammer it out pretty quick. Now I've done this is like my third time. I'm actually getting pretty good with it because I've tried out different injectors. So I will see how this set runs. Hopefully it'll be my last set. And if you haven't subscribed to me before, if you would, please hit that subscribe button right down here, or I got maybe a little icon of me showing up right now. Hit on that, and then there's a little bell symbol. You would click on that, and that way you get notifications of any new videos I got coming out. And if you found the video informative and helpful, if you please give me a thumbs up, I'd appreciate it. Alright, well thanks for watching and please subscribe.